All things back to order. Thank you all so much for being here with us. We do appreciate everybody coming out to participate in the process with everything we have going on. We will begin this portion of our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance as we usually do. So if all will please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. And if you all will please join us in a moment of silent reflection that you can use for silent prayer, to prepare for the meeting, to reflect on the things that we are discussing here this evening. Thank you all very much. Council, you have minutes from the March 24th regular meeting. I know we've had so many meetings and that it's hard to recall everything, but do you have any changes, or do we have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted? So moved. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And at this time, we will open the floor once again, so we'll ask that you please come down to the podium to participate in citizen comments on public matters. If you'll state your name for the record, use the microphone, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. The floor is now open. Thank you, sir. It doesn't count until you get there. You can take all the time you need to make it. We appreciate you being here.
They used to call me Flash, but then it changed to Flicker. Now my daughter said it's Puff now. My name is Pastor Jerry Williams. I live here in Radford, also a taxpayer. And I pastor also Liberty Full Gospel Fellowship Church on Lee Street. And I came, and I'm going to try to do it before this 3 minutes is up. I came primarily for two of the main reasons. I have consulted with the previous council before in previous years that the speeders are about to drive us crazy, about to kill everyone on the street coming by there, especially in the mornings and what have you. And me being the shape I am, you wouldn't believe the number of times, and maybe you would, that I've almost been killed. And on just yesterday, my wife was almost killed yesterday. Also, at times, a school bus, when it's coming up the road, cars come over the hill, have actually had the wheels in the air. I've actually seen them up in the air. The police at one time did say they came out, said the fastest they caught people, saw them, timed them out with a radar, was 21 miles per hour. I don't agree with that, unless you all's radar detectors are defective, okay? But I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out when somebody is speeding heavily. And of course, a few years ago, someone came over the hill there, and they actually damaged 2 or 3 houses, mine being one of them, cost over $100 and some thousand worth of damage. The vehicle was totally inside the house. I was in there, almost killed. It was on NBC, CBS, and Fox News. And of course, they found out she was driving drunken on marijuana. And but yet nothing has really been done to correct the speeders on there. If someone was set on the other side, even for speed bumps or something like that, to say cars entering out of driveway or whatever, that would help. I don't know. But right now, it's a very dangerous situation. Furthermore, and I'm trying to do it past the 3 minutes, also the light bills in Radford have gotten enormously high. Mine has been almost $500. Probably some of you all had the same thing, but were afraid to come in here and say something about it. But I'm a preacher, so I'm going to talk. Amen. So anyway, one neighbor, when I came down here, told me when I went to the building department down there, they told me, one of the neighbors came and told me his neighbor's bill was over $2,400, $2,400. Who can pay that? That's not sensible. I remember as a boy, because I'm going way back now when I say that, I remember my light bill was $6, and my mother would cry because she didn't have the money to pay that. She used to say, son, when you get older, things going to be higher. I said, oh, no, Mama. It's going to get cheaper. I owe Mama an apology right now because the bill, as you all know, went up further than $6. Furthermore, I also have Atmos gas at my home. I can heat my home on Atmos gas for $42. And yet my light bill went up like that. Something's wrong. Even one of the neighbors even just recently put a Southwest Virginia gas tank in there trying to heat her house because the bills had gotten so high. Okay? And furthermore, quickly, can I have about 4 more seconds or whatever?
Take your time, finish up,
Okay.
please.
Also, I pastor a church, right? When we first began 30 years ago, our light bill was a regular light bill. But all of a sudden, the city started putting on there a fee called a sanctuary worship fee. Every time I've gone to the utility department down there, the building department, and asked them, what is a sanctuary worship fee? Nobody, as well as the treasurer's office, have been able to indicate to me what it's about. Now, if it's there to actually help somebody, I don't mind doing that. I don't mind doing that because I'm in favor of helping people. I really am. But you all have a group of ladies down at the building department down there. But I've been informed that some of them have already said that they almost hate their jobs now because when they sit there, they're getting people coming in every day complaining, and it's because of what you all as city council said is the standard for the kilowatt hours. So they shouldn't be put in a position like that where they literally almost hate to come to work. Think about that. Would you want to be sitting there and answering all the complaints? So that's what I have right now. And I didn't know about the sanctuary worship fee. Is it based on the size of the congregation, the footage of the building that you're in, or what have you? Please answer that, and I'm finished with it.
Thank you, Reverend Williams.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has a comment for the public record? Hearing none, we will go on and close that portion of the meeting and give a very brief response. I understand everything that you're saying, and I think everybody up here fully understands. Our electric charges have been challenging for us, and it has been nearly impossible for the city to keep them as low as we would like them to be. That's primarily reflected in the wholesale cost that we have to pay for power. I don't know about the sanctuary worship fee. That is the first I've heard of that, so we will check into that and see. It could be, but we'll check on it, and we'll see what we can find out and certainly get back to you and get back to others about that. But we will talk about that. I know that it's particularly tough. Again, the electric department transfers about $4 million, $3.9 million to the general fund. So when we talk about all these tough things like some of the funding for schools and some of the other emergent important issues in the city, without that electric department, taxes would be about 40 cents higher or so, 38 cents. That's a challenge for the city, and we're trying to figure it all out. But I do recognize that it is tough, and I think everybody up here would recognize that, and we're doing everything we can to be appropriately priced and to try to help our citizens have a good quality of life here in the city of Radford. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add? Okay. Moving forward, we do have a proclamation to consider this week. This is Medical Laboratory Professionals Week. Whereas, originating in 1975, Medical Laboratory Professionals Week is an annual celebration of medical laboratory professionals who play a vital role in healthcare and patient advocacy. And whereas, Medical Laboratory Professionals Week, MLPW, was established to increase public awareness of the essential role that medical laboratorians play in supporting the health of all individual patients and the public. Whereas, laboratory medicine is an honorable profession which is recognized by all citizens as vital to the high standards of health care, and whereas the practice of modern medicine at the standards we now enjoy would be impossible without the scientific tests performed daily in medical laboratories, whereas medical laboratory scientists provide accurate data to support the timely and accurate diagnoses our patients must have. And whereas these highly trained and dedicated health professionals make an invaluable contribution to the quality health care and save countless lives each day by providing reliable laboratory test results required for prevention, detection, diagnosis, and treatment of disease, and whereas the role of the medical laboratory professional should be recognized as critical to maintaining high standards of healthcare in Virginia, and whereas during Medical Laboratory Professionals Week and throughout the year we pay tribute to the hard work and dedication of those who, through attention to patient safety and laboratory testing skills, provide high-quality care and contribute to the overall health of our region. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Radford City Council that the week of April 20th through the 26th, 2025 will be recognized as Medical Laboratory Professionals Week in Radford and honor those who play a vital role in healthcare and patient advocacy. Council, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this proclamation. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. And happy Medical Laboratory Professionals Week to all of those who help us stay healthy. And we do appreciate that. We do need to consider an appointment to the New River Valley Regional Rail Authority. We are working as an alternate for that rail authority. And Council, when you all first got the message, it said jail authority, but it's actually for the rail station authority. Melissa Skelton has been kind enough to participate with the Rail Authority and to help us with all things transportation related. I believe she's willing to step into the official role, so if that is acceptable to council, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Melissa as our representative. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations. You needed something else on your plate. I know, right? Okay, so much of this evening and so much of really the last few months has been about budgets, budgets, and more budgets. Again, we've talked about why we are where we are today, that our estimations of what we thought we could bring in didn't pan out to where we ended up. And so we've had to course correct that a good bit. And by doing that, we've had to look at what our tax rates and our fees would be. So council, we need an ordinance to take a look. We have an ordinance to take a look at the 2025 tax rates. So that would be for this June and this December when the taxes are due on real estate and personal property, as well as tools, meals, cigarette tax, hotel occupancy tax, and machinery as well. So let's begin with just a discussion on our real property tax. Council, we in the budget have to have a tax rate of at least 79 cents, which is a 10-cent per $100 of assessed value increase over the current level to make the budget balance. However, it was proposed that we consider 82 cents per $100 of assessed value to try to help us make up some of this additional revenue challenge. Is there any discussion related to that?
Yes, I would like to speak to council about making it the 82 cent and meet our employees halfway on their insurance. So there'd still be a considerable amount of that to go back to our reserves, but it would also help offset some of the increase in their fees. So what I would propose is 82 cents and the city pays half and the employee pays half. The rest go to the general fund.
So just to be clear, that's 3 cents additional above what is currently budgeted with the 25-26 budget, which would generate about $360,000. We would be looking to take approximately $200,000 or so of that to spend toward the employee health insurance. And again, for those that maybe haven't been following us, one of the things that has happened, and we have not made this choice, this has come to us. The employee health insurance shot up this year. The estimate was originally over 29%. It came down to, I believe, 17%. Where we are now, we had looked at a 60-40 split that the employees would have to pick up 60% and the city could pick up 40%. To Ms. Foster's proposal, we're looking at a 50-50 split. So that's actually only additional $100,000. Is that correct?
That's what I was going to say. The total increase, even changing to a plan that now has deductibles and some other changes, the total increase from the current year is about 14% or $637,000. The budget proposed employees to pick up $425, the city to pick up $212. If you split it 50-50, that $212 would go up to $318,500, which is another $106,500.
So 106 of the $363,000 that would be generated by the 82 cents tax rate would be proposed for that. And we'll just open the floor for discussion.
I think where I'm at on this is, look, I think one of the biggest concerns we've taken from our staff is what this health insurance would do to them. I would be in support, and look, we want to take care, this is the second year in a row that we haven't been able to do COLA. You guys are what makes this city go around, and we want you here. We want to be able to take care of you and be competitive. I think I would support it if the additional amounts were to be earmarked for our deficit of that 3-cent tax increase. If we take the additional 100,000 to be able to offset some of their employee costs with the notion that we're going to earmark the additional revenue to be applied directly to the deficit, I think that that's where I would stand on it.
That's good. Guy, you good? Yep. Kelly, what are your thoughts?
And
Okay.
just to the city employees, I mean, I wish we could do more, and I do feel like perhaps it's a slight token, but please know that we've heard your concerns. I think we've all been reached out to by different people telling us the impact, and we did hear you, and we can't do everything that we'd like to do, but we certainly, in good faith, we appreciate you hanging in there with us and doing the hard work, and we're trying to do our part, even if it's smaller, to let you know we've heard your concerns and we care about you and we value you here.
And I would like to say that I made the statement when we set the 82 cent at the cap that I wouldn't vote for that. Well, I'm changing my mind, and I want people to know that I'm backing up on that. But I think it's because we've just run into so much problems in trying to fund as many ways as we could to cut costs, and it's just going to require that we go up that 3%, the 3 cents, so.
And council, if I may, at 82 cents, that generates an additional 363,000. 106.5 will be applied to help further reduce the employee health insurance cost. The remainder is 256,500 that would go to the reserves to help offset the deficit.
And to address the deficit that we have currently that we're dealing with.
Yeah, I think by doing that, while, make no mistake that the citizens are carrying that, we're all carrying that too, but we're also taking care of our people, and we're taking care of the deficit that we cannot ignore, that we have to get out of. And I think that this while it's not perfect and that there is some pain, the not addressing or taking care of your people also has a cost. And so that's why I can support doing this.
Okay. Any other comment? All right. Before we get to the rest of this, we've talked about real estate. We had talked about remaining at $1.76 per $100 of assessed value of machinery and tool tax. Tangible personal property, which would basically be the car tax, but that's tangible personal property, is proposed to increase to $2.55 per $100 of assessed value versus $2.44 per $100 of assessed value. Do we want to have a discussion on that? Okay, we will move forward. Tangible personal property is listed, okay, that just gets into some of that. At that piece would be $1.76 per $100 of assessed value. That's tangible personal property that's not the cars, right?
And that's correct, and that's not proposed to change. I will just add that the estimate, if you change the personal property tax to $255 from $244, the estimate is approximately $80,000. That can vary widely year to year based on the value of the vehicles, and but that would bring in about $80,000.
For our meals tax, we are looking to increase by 1% to 6.5% from 5.5%. Cigarette tax levy is proposed to increase to 41 cents per pack, which I believe is a penny, correct?
That's correct.
And hotel occupancy tax is proposed to increase 1% to 8.5%. Council, is there any other discussion on any of these other tax rates?
On the hotel occupancy, is that 1% or half a percent?
0.5%. Okay.
It's currently
0.5%.
8.
Okay. So council, this is what you have before you. Any further discussion? We've heard everybody, and nobody takes this lightly, but certainly this is what we need to do to try to right the revenue picture a little bit. So do we have a motion to adopt the tax rates as listed this evening?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Will you call the roll, Jenny?
Yes.
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 And just for the record, Mayor, that the estimates for all those increases will generate an additional $721,000.
Okay, thank you very much. We also have to look at ordinance 1814, which is the rates and fees. And we've discussed these ad nauseum this evening. We had the slide up earlier, and we will make all these slides available so that folks can look at them before the second reading. Wastewater rates are proposed to increase from $32.48 to $36.48 for 4,000 gallons, a $4 increase. Water rates are proposed to increase from $20.32 to $24.32 per 4,000 gallons, a $4 increase. Solid waste fee, your sanitation fee, is proposed to increase from $22 to $25. That is a $13, that is an $11, 4, 4, and 3, or 4, 4, and 5. $13, I was right in the first time. $13 increase that will appear for the water, wastewater, and solid waste fees. In addition to that, the land use fees are proposed to increase as follows: for site plan and engineering review from $200 to $300, and that's an increase of $50 combined with engineering review of $50, total increase of $100. Subdivision, $50 per plat. Zoning confirmation letter, $25. Comprehensive plan amendment, $250. Council, this is what has been advertised, so we can't go above this. Is there any desire to change this to a lower amount? Do we have a motion to adopt ordinance 1814?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Jenny, if you'll call the roll.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now, again, ordinance 1815, I'm not going to go through all the details on this other than to say what was presented tonight. If we still have some work to try to do, we will revisit that. If you all want to have the meeting Thursday, we can do that to have further discussion, or we can wait until next Monday to give Craig and Adam and everybody who needs to talk a chance to kind of work through that. But the budget as presented this evening, total for the city was $33,122,947. Total for the schools is $50,298,738. And again, we know that there are going to likely be some small adjustments there, percentage-wise, to get us where we want to be between now and next Monday, so we will discuss that further. Council, is there any further discussion before we consider that appropriation ordinance?
Yes, and Craig, I might have you follow up with some additional details, but I would propose that council at this time would also initiate a hiring freeze for the entirety of the 2026 budget year that includes a $500,000 in cost reduction for personnel-related costs in the general fund, as well as a 10% cut to all council pay for fiscal year 2026. If everybody else has skin in the game, I think we should too. And I would like for Craig to kind of elaborate on what that would and wouldn't mean as far as a hiring freeze, that essential positions would be hired, that is not what we're looking to do. Could you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Sure. I think from talking with several council members, I think what the thought is as currently, and I'm numbers blind again, we have a number of positions that are currently vacant. Those positions would be frozen, and in addition, any additional vacancies that occur due to retirements or folks resigning to take other positions, those positions would be frozen as well, with the caveat that each time one of those positions is open, there'll be a discussion between the department director and the city manager regarding the necessity, if you will, of that position. And then the city manager will come back to council to say, this is the reason that we recommend filling this position. What that will result in is, as those vacancies occur, is discussion within each department about the current organization and if there's opportunities to do any reorganization and looking at, as we continue to try to right-size things, You know, the challenge there is, as we've said, is you may have several employees in a small department or division that retire or resign. Those, in all likelihood, several of those may have to be refilled simply because we won't be able to provide the service without some minimum level of staffing. So it's a freeze in terms of any time a position becomes vacant, the city will not advertise for that position until there's been a process with the department director, the city manager, and ultimately the council to agree to allow that to move forward if it's needed.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion?
I just want to say that I tried to give up my salary, and to some people's point that spoke earlier, I've tried to give up my salary. I tried to give it up 2 years ago with our other manager, and I was told that there was some technical difficulties and it couldn't be done. I brought it up to Craig and to Mike again a few months ago. So I've already just tried to give it up, the entire thing, because I don't want it. I would rather it go to the city employees, whatever else it needs to go to. So I'm totally fine with that.
And
I
to
hope
be
that
fair,
we
it's
can
not
get
going to
it
move the
worked out.
needle much, but it's, yeah.
$2,600 altogether.
Yeah, it's not going to move the needle much, but any little bit could help.
We will look at the legal requirements for that. I know in other communities where councils and boards have decided to do that, they technically didn't change what they were getting paid, but they in turn wrote a check back to the community for the difference and said, well, if I can't change it legally, I'll just give it back as a contribution. So we'll determine the best way to handle that.
Any other discussion? So I will chime in. I struggle, obviously, with reducing our workforce even more than we already are. We know we're pretty tight across the board, but I do think it makes sense to have the hiring freeze, to have the discussion. It doesn't mean we won't rehire positions. It means we'll have to talk about each and every position and look at it at a department level. We'll have to say, is this essential for what we're doing moving forward? Does this help us advance as a committee, as a community? I think the hardest part with it is trying to do all of this through budget is not really the best way to address personnel issues. That's certainly something we're trying to work on. I think it's much more department heads working with the manager, the current manager, once we establish a new manager, to make sure we have the right people doing the right jobs throughout the community and to try to get the most for our taxpayers' dollars. I know our staff does an amazing job and we're so appreciative of everybody, but I think it does make sense because that also keeps us from being in this position next year where we're having to say, do we have to cut jobs? Do we have to eliminate more from the budget? Do we have to do more things to try to right our ship? A year ago, we thought we were going to be in a much better position today, and we're not. And so we're trying to make sure that we are as we move forward. So I fully support that. And in fact, I will take your amendment as a motion, and I will second that motion. Council, is there any other discussion based on ordinance 1815 as amended? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. Will you call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. Now, the way this works for the budget, again, the first reading is just the first reading. We've had the public hearing tonight. It doesn't mean further comment can't be made because there's been a ton of information provided. We certainly are going to continue to research some things based on what's been shared with us, some of it for the first time this evening, and so we're learning as we go. As of next Monday, we will have another meeting. That is where the second reading will take place. So we do encourage you to come out, to participate, to be a part of that process, and to go from there, and we will wrap up the budget hopefully next Monday. There are likely to be some, at least, changes the way we account for things and things along that line. So we'll explain all that as part of the meeting on Monday as we go through that process. And I think I have that straight. Before we move on from the budget, is there anything else we should consider this evening on that?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
Okay. Now, we do have a good grant to talk about, so that's exciting. In 2023, the Radford City Police Department and New River Valley Community Services partnered together in the development of a program to better serve members of the community suffering from mental health illness. The program utilizes a law enforcement and clinician team to respond to various calls for services related to mental health. Radford City PD has been awarded grant funds under the CIT Marcus Alert Grant through the DCJS in the amount of $33,441, and funds from that grant will go toward equipment that will help further the mission and partnership to serve those suffering from mental illness, as well as keeping our first responders, responding officers, and clinicians safe. Council members, do we have any questions regarding this? Do we have a motion to approve ordinance 1802.27 in the amount of 33,000, is it 441 or 331? Do we know the right amount? Sorry, I just caught that was different. Do we have a motion to approve 1802.27 in the amount of $33,441? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Manager, the floor is yours. A lot has been said. What else do you have for us this evening?
I need you to
We
dispense.
can dispense with a second reading if so desired. I got a little excited. I was ready to get us taken care of. We can dispense with a second reading since we have 4 affirmative votes. Is there a motion to do so? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now, Craig, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council, again for another busy evening related to budget. I think we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I hope so. I hope it's not a train. I think it's a true light. I appreciate all the hard work. I did want to mention one positive thing. We continue to work at Bissett Park and putting things back together. Power is being restored. I believe power is going to be restored to the shelters this week. Is that? Hopefully by the end of next week. We are moving forward to continue to get things repaired and replaced there. There's also a meeting with city staff and FEMA representatives on, thank you, Wednesday. I knew it was the 16th. I couldn't remember the date. To make sure that we've got all our P's and Q's in order to make sure that things that we have spent money on, which have been considerable into the hundreds of thousands. Are we over $1 million yet? Yeah, that's what we have spent considerable funds getting things put back together from Helene. We want to make sure that those dollars are well documented, and we will be making every effort with FEMA to get those reimbursed. That will also be a nice, we are anticipating in the fiscal 26 budget $1 million of that to come back. Hopefully it'll be much more than that. So we're excited about that. That's really all I have. It's been budget. I'm looking forward to moving on to some other opportunities with things city manager related in the coming days. So
Thank you so much. Guy, what do you have for us this evening?
I just have one thing. I want to comment.
Will you turn your mic
A lot
on?
of discussion, I think, in the community and Facebook. Whoop, thank you, Seth. About stopping the transit system, stopping over at the Kroger and over there. I happened to spend time with one of the small business owners over there and was enlightened with some information that I got there. And I think if the people that are disappointed or mad or are saying negative things would go and meet with one of those small business owners over there and talk to them about their situation with the transit system, they would be enlightened also. That's all I have.
Thank you. Seth, what do you have for us this evening?
I think I'll keep it short and save my budget comments for when we finally get it across the finish line. It's been a marathon of a budget season, and I'll reiterate my thanks to Craig and staff and council and the community at large who's taken the time to come out and voice their concerns. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for all the hard work. I know that there's been countless hours that have gone into this, and Craig, I think you told me privately, of all your budget seasons, this is top 3 hardest you've ever done. So we're gonna keep pushing and make it the hardest. There you go. Yeah. No, thank you for everything. Thank council for everything, and we're getting there. So thank you.
Thank you. Jesse?
Just to give a quick update on some of the committees and meetings I had the last couple of weeks. I did meet with Elizabeth with the library. I think you guys received some other information that I wanted to gather from her. I had a tour of the New River Resource Authority with Joe. That is absolutely fascinating. If you have not been out there, you must go. It is a very interesting tour. In fact, I need like segment 2. I did a police ride-out. That's always interesting. Let me know if you want to talk more about that. And I attended the New River Criminal Justice Board. I have some data that I'll share with you guys, make sure you all have. So that's kind of a synopsis. And the chamber wanted me to let everyone know, May 19th is the 11th Annual Radford Chamber of Commerce Golf Tournament. So they're always looking for sponsors, so reach out to the chamber. They would love to add you to that list. So I am going to say a few things. Sorry, but, so just to be clear, the community has elected, and it has, since I've been an elected official in this community, a wide variety of individuals with differing thoughts. And so I will assure you, none of the 5 of us are not taking the riches of this community and buying an island to live together. That's not what's happening here. We are a really solid check and balance for one another because we all do come from slightly different philosophies on the world, but I can tell you it is very rare since I've set up here that we have not had a 5-0 vote. And we have worked very hard to get to that, and we've utilized the information at hand. We are very thankful that we have Craig on board. Sometimes, you know, just taking another perspective and looking at things differently has certainly helped us, and I think it'll guide us for the budgets that are upcoming. I want to say personally, and I guess I've said this in different ways, but let me just be very clear about this. I am a member of the community. I am not a politician. I'm an individual, just as everyone else is up here, that love our community, and we stepped up, and we're representatives of what you guys want. The problem is, as my good friend Dr. Harshbarger said, is it's math. The more we want, the more we have to pay for. The more that we ask to come out of your pocket or your neighbor's pocket, the harder it is for them to pay the increases that we're all facing. So every single one of us in our household right now, I know I've tightened my belt, things are challenging. I get an Atmos bill, I get all the same bills you get, and trust couple that when I get them, there's a pause and a deep breath before I open them. But I also know there are some members in our community that suffer more when they get those bills. And so we're trying to be mindful of all those things. But there is an equation, and it's a pretty direct equation. The more things that we want to provide as a city to our community, the more money that we have to bring in. And so what I'm hearing is, just when we were talking about the schools, when we were talking specifically about the schools, and I was just keeping a list of the things that people were saying, whatever you do, we need this. We have to address crumbling infrastructure. We have to fund the schools at whatever is requested to 100%. We need to do more with economic development. And I guess with the 15 empty buildings that we don't own those. They're personally owned by individuals. So I don't know, we're supposed to, I guess, fund a business there. I'm not really sure because those are held individually, but we're supposed to do that. We are supposed to invest more in tourism. Law enforcement and safety is a priority. We had recycling, the rec center. We need a grant writer. I don't disagree with all these things that everyone has brought up, but there's a cost associated with every single one of these things. And so what we have to look at is, to be a city and what it costs to provide the high level of service that we all enjoy, that takes money. And so something somewhere has to give. In the past, I know that the councils I've sat on, we've really been mindful and we've tried not to raise taxes. If we've been advised that we can do it, we can make a budget without doing that. I think we all feel like we'd like to keep as much money in your pocket as possible. And we feel this way still. So what you're seeing is we're trying to find the cuts too. We're trying to find the cuts no one wants the cuts, but we don't want to raise taxes. And I simply don't know how to do that with the rate of inflation that we're all facing, even within our own homes. So all of us up here love the schools. We love our children. We love our city employees. We love our elderly. We understand the hardships that are being faced every day. And certainly, we're doing our very best to navigate our city through this. And you know, just so you know, I mean, like I said, I don't think any of us would put, we're a politician, we're your neighbor, we're your friends. You know, most of us, you know us. We come at this with a good heart, really trying to be an asset to the community. And again, I will encourage everyone, and especially if you really feel like you have a good suggestion, we want to know them. We have boards, committees, commissions. Please don't just throw stones at us from the sidelines. Get involved, be a part of the solution, because we understand that we have a lot of issues to address, but if you have the answers, please help us get to the solution. You can also run. Every 2 years there's an election. Please step on up and help your community. That's some advice that I would give you, but also before those 2 years, please be involved. Keep talking to us. We love your solutions, and we'll try to adopt as many as we can, as long as Dr. Harshberger says, the math works out. The math has to work out. And that's all I really want to say, but I just felt like I had to address a couple of things I felt that were slights to us, and I just think they were unjust and unfair, and we're doing the very best we can to navigate, and just know that.
Thank you. Kelly, what do you have?
A lot. Thank you very much for coming up and addressing the safety issue on Lee Street. I feel like we'll definitely look into that and see what we can do to help that.
Not Lee Street, it's on 14th Street.
Oh, I'm sorry, 14th Street. I'm sorry, but yeah, so we'll check it out. But thank you for coming out and letting us know.
The police chief's taking notes.
Yes, he is. He's back there.
He was taking notes.
I'll start with positive things. I went to a joint commission meeting last Tuesday, and to speak to the empty buildings downtown, they are working on a storefront project. So they're going to have restaurant concepts, retail concepts, and they're going to do window wraps. They're working with Taylor Hollow to fill in the vacant windows so it looks nice. So that's going to be something that hopefully will bring in business. Like Jesse said, we do not control those people that own those properties, so we can't twist their arm and make them do something with them, but it's always our hope to have full businesses downtown. And they're going to invite council to come see the presentation when they have the retail concepts up, so I'll let you guys know when that's going to be at RU. And they're also hoping that that will spark some interest in the POP program, which they had just, I think, bumped up the increase from $5,000 to $10,000, the EDA did, yeah, so that's a good thing. They're also going to be painting a mural on the wall. So if you're looking at Turk Law Office to the left of that, where the convenience store used to be, there's a wall on the lower and then one on the upper. I'm not sure if they're going to do both or the bottom or the top, but either way, RU's going to have some people beautify that area, so that's going to be good and no cost to the city. Just to let you know, a few things going on. Muse is going to be coming offline starting in 2025. I think they housed what? 2020. Yeah, 500 in 2024, and then our 2025 and 2026 it's going to be 250, I think. And they said that will be 300 plus students that will need housing in our community, so that's really good. That'll be good for all of our realty companies to increase some revenue there for us. A few of the people around the table also said that they would be really interested in sponsorship ideas for concerts. I mentioned where Charlie Goins was talking about, you know, dugouts and things like that. So I think Jenny put you in touch with some people on that board to discuss some sponsorship availability. So I think that was really good. And then Craig and I kind of enlightened them to our financial situation and gave them a high-level view, and we talked about some things that don't really help the city to make them aware. Cogen was one of them. Purchasing real estate was one of them, how we don't get any real estate taxes back. And they reminded us that Brett is wanting to heavily invest in the money that impacts us for cogen. So that was really nice to hear that he wants to take the money that we would not be receiving as revenue and reinvest it back in the city. So I just wanted to let everybody know that RU is not the enemy. We're not the enemy, school board's not the enemy. We are all in the same 10 square miles of everybody, so we really have to work together. And that brings me to my next comment. It is not helpful to come and bash any of us, anybody on school board, anybody working for the city. We are in this, or anybody at RU. We are in this together, and we will not come out of it ahead if we don't try to work together. There is nothing gained from finger pointing or blaming anybody else from the past. The past is the past, and what's done is done. You can't change it. The only thing you can do is learn from it and move forward for a better future. And we all need to do that together. I don't have to justify what my kids do at school or what school they go to. Nobody does. That is a parent's decision. And I'm glad that we all live in a country where we have the right to make those choices. They don't go to Radford City Schools. My daughter did up until 2nd grade, and then we decided to make other arrangements. But that hasn't stopped me from working at McCarg and doing everything I can as a citizen of Radford, knowing firsthand, seeing the needs that the school has, to stay there and help everything I can. So I've been a PSA member for 6 years, ever since my daughter started there. For 5 years, I've run the Santa store. I have funded 100% of every single thing that was sold there. And 100% of the profits went back to the PSA. The PSA pays for all kinds of things that I had no idea that they do. They pay for Spring Fun Day and help out with that. They pay for, Santa breakfast, Santa store. They pay for books that the kids get. They help Trick or Treat Trail. They help, all these things that I had no idea. I've been the treasurer for 4 years. I don't have a dog in that fight. I do it because I love my community and I love the school system. I do it because that's the kind of people that we need to help support what we're going through. I don't have to do that. I want to do that. I know everybody here wants to do that. Jesse, you don't have kids in the school system anymore. You don't yet, Seth. I mean, it's not whether you have people in an area of Radford or not. It's because you're a citizen and you love it. So I just wanted to say that. No, my kids aren't there, but that doesn't mean I don't love the school system any less. So I hope we can learn to work together. And if you don't feel like Radford is a place that you want to be anymore, then I wish you the best. I really do, because I want people here that are going to love and be invested in the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate everyone coming to share their thoughts. Certainly, it is always challenging to go through difficult times. And everybody up here has felt every single thing, from trying to figure out where we are and why we are there to what we can even do about it, and trying to come up with solutions that hurt people the least, ultimately, that help the most in our community, that can make a difference for our future. I'm going to announce a couple of things real quickly, and then I'm going to get to some other thoughts. I do want to say one of the more painful things we had to cut was our Easter egg hunt. We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to cut that or the 4th of July activities, but we found some solutions. I have to say thank you so much to Community Life Church and Community Works Together for sponsoring the Easter egg hunt this Saturday, April 19th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Bissett Park near Shelter 1. I hope families can come out and enjoy it just as they have as when the city and the tourism program made that happen, and we're so grateful that members of the community stepped up. We have fireworks coming this summer. They'll be on July 3rd so that we can have a nice big show that we've been accustomed to. We won't have the regular activities in the park, but we will have something. And that has been our goal, to try to not eliminate everything, but to save the money. We had to make a decision so that we could save $100,000. You may say, well, that's not a big deal out of a $70 million budget, but that's a couple people's jobs. And we took that very seriously as we tried to move forward in the city. I love Radford City Schools. It never brings me any pleasure to have conflict with them over money, and we've had conflict over the years over money. Trying to look out for the taxpayers, trying to look out for the kids, trying to look out for the teachers and the staff and everybody in the community, and trying to come to the best decision we could. I'm hopeful that we can get the details worked out so that everything that was talked about tonight can be figured out in some way, shape, or form. That's really been kind of the mantra of this whole budget season is, can we figure out something so that we're not left with nothing, and that we're going in that direction. This past Saturday, I had the opportunity to participate for the National Victim and Witness Rights Crime Violence Right Week 5K in the park. That's put on by several groups. We have wonderful advocacy groups for the victims of violent crime, for the Women's Resource Center, for all of those important areas, and a good number of people turned out to support that. It's so important, but it also goes to show there's always something reaching out in our community to try to help people have a better life. And, you know, as we were talking about cuts over the last few months, you know, looking at the rec center where people go to improve their health and their mental well-being, where folks learn sports and participate and engage in activities, to the library where people find enrichment every single day and can improve the quality of their lives in 1,000 different ways, to really everything we do. There's a cost to everything, and there's a challenge if we try to take any of it away. It means something to someone, and we've heard a lot, cut this, don't cut that, and then within minutes, no, cut that, don't cut this, and don't raise any taxes. So I get it. It's tough. I will say thank you to everybody up here. There's nothing we've talked about that hasn't kept us up at night, that hasn't given us heartache and heartburn, as we have tried to think of where we need to be on this issue, as we fielded calls and messages and tried to work through everything. We're not quite there yet, but we're a lot closer than we were earlier, and a lot closer than we were a few weeks ago. And we want to thank all of you for being part of that process. I think it's important to remember all the good things Radford has going for it. This is a great community, and we have a bright future. There will be bumps along the way, but things are going to get better every single day. There are people that believe in this community, not because of us, but because of all of you, and because of all of the people that live and work and make this place a great place to live. And we got to remember that, because we can get down on things so easily, and it can become so negative so quick. One of the things I've spent a lot of my time doing, and it was addressed tonight, we have tried to fill those stores on East and West Main Street as best we can. We don't own them. There's limited things we can do, but we can try to help clean it up. We can try to help make it more attractive. We can try to make it be a place where people want to spend time. I will say, go back 20 years and look at West Main Street in the block, especially going from where the coffee company and Brickhouse Pizza and the fire station Mercantile and all of the businesses that are there. That was a challenged spot, and we couldn't figure that out. That was a tough puzzle. We did. We figured it out. We made improvements. Things grew, and the economy improved in that area, and businesses took off. That's what we hope to do in East End as well as we can. You know, the costs change on us, and we do our best to try to adapt. But there's an effort taken at all times to try to help those that are here and to invite more to participate. And so we're working on it. If anybody wants to join us in that effort, we would love to have you participate with the Chamber of Commerce, as Jesse is our representative there, with the Economic Development Authority, with any of us on council. Let's work together and continue to make Radford the place that people want to spend their time and energy and spend time with friends. We'll have more to say next week, I'm sure. I did want to ask council, are you all good with waiting until next Monday to go through everything, or do you feel like we need the meeting on Thursday? Okay, so we will cancel our tentative meeting for Thursday. We only planned that just in case we had to have it, because we do have advertising requirements. We will meet again next Monday at 7 p.m., not 6 p.m., for another budget meeting to go through the second reading of the budget. Now, again, the way that works, once that's done, the budget is in place to be adopted as of July 1st. And so you are welcome to come out and to continue to have conversation. We will listen to any other ideas. We will be working through some of the things we've discussed tonight so that we can get to that, and we will explain anything that's different between first and second reading. We'll post all this information as well. We want to thank you all very much for being a part of this, and with this, we will adjourn. Thank you very much.